There's Pat and Stu for Glenn on the Glenn Beck program on his 20th anniversary. We will talk about why he isn't here in just a few minutes, get into that story. But he and his family and certainly Tanya's family could certainly use your thoughts and prayers today. You've found kind of an interesting topic going on the Twitters.
On the Twitters, yes. You know, 1 out of every 50 million posts on Twitter has value. And people don't know that. A lot of people think there's just nothing on there that could possibly be interesting. No, every 50 million posts, one of them has some value. This one, it kind of started a bunch of conversations. Some of them are amazing. Someone tweeted, tell me a story about yourself that sounds like a lie, but is absolutely true. So something about yourself sounds like a lie, but is absolutely true.
Okay.
Here's one from Jessica. On my third day in New York, the 2 towers fell. On my third day after visiting New Orleans, Katrina came. On the third day after leaving Nepal, the hotel was bombed by rebels. It just seems like you're actually just responsible.
Yeah. An Al Qaeda representative, operative, maybe?
Not promising. Not promising. I've been struck by lightning, sucked into a riptide, attacked by dogs, and a car fell on me. Not all at the same time. Wow, that's not even worth. If it's not at the same time, it's not even.
It would have been impressive if it all happened simultaneously, but I'm not impressed now.
How about this one? I was riding bikes with my daughter on Friday the 13th, and a black cat scurried across the bike path in front of us. My daughter said something about bad luck, and I began to tell her that it was only superstition when a bee flew into my mouth and stung me on the back of my throat.
This one from Laura. I saw my neighbor lady who had recently been hospitalized walking in her backyard. Told her I was glad she was home and feeling better. She smiled at me. When I went inside and told my mom that the lady was home, Mom told me she died at the hospital that morning.
Oh, shit.
That's kind of weird.
So was she the wrong person, or was it a ghost?
No, it was just a ghost wandering, or a spirit wandering around in the backyard, I guess, afterwards.
I love this. Delivered $140 of pizza to an NBA player's house. Couldn't change 2 $100 bills, so I told him I'd be back. At the next stop, I was held up at gunpoint, ran for it, and called the cops. The player calls to complain, and the manager, of course, explains the situation. He goes back to the player's house. He says, I heard you had a rough time, and tipped him $1.68. Oh, it sucks. Let's see. Grade 7, needed parental permission to go to the corner store at recess. My dad gave me a note covering the whole year, but nope. So he printed off and signed 100 undated letters. I kept them in my cubby and filled the date before recess. My principal was not impressed. Probably not. Probably not. Let's see. Both my wife and I were adopted as babies, and neither of us found out until both sets of our parents died. We later did separate searches of our birth parents and found out that we were siblings. We've yet to tell our 4 kids and might just not ever. I don't think they should know. You know, that's crazy. Do you hear the story of the guy who was running a fertility clinic? And I guess, look, maybe, not always busy. You don't always have a lot to do with the fertility clinic.
Right.
So he kind of got ahead. He wanted to get ahead for supply, if you know what I'm saying. And apparently supplied hundreds of children with his own seed. He fueled that whole process.
Was very bored then, huh?
Very bored. And apparently later on, all these women found out that they had a kid with the same dude. And so all these, wasn't there like a Vince Vaughn movie about this?
Yes.
And it was the kids spread out across the country that were all related and had absolutely no idea.
Wow.
I love the one story where a woman in this thread, a woman goes on Tinder and is talking to some guy she's been flirting with and asks for his last name. And I guess in that world, like you hear the last name request and you're like, oh, they're gonna look me up. So he says, yeah, here's my last name. And just so you know, when you look me up, you will find out that I'm a murderer. Yeah, kind of a funny joke. She thinks, he's got a good sense of humor. She looks him up and he was a murderer, apparently in the middle of a murder trial. But makes you think online dating might not be the greatest solution to your world.
That could throw a monkey wrench into a relationship, I would think, finding out that the person is a murderer. Tends to be a little bit of a turnoff for some people.
Really?
I mean, some people are so picky. You can't even have killed people. I mean, even if it's one person.
Yeah.
and still carry on a relationship with them.
I mean, look, if you've gone 50, 60, 70 people, you've offed, I can understand
Then I
some
understand.
hesitation.
Yes.
Okay, but
but
there's one person. I mean, we've all had those days.
Come on, who hasn't?
You know?
As Jeffy was, who hasn't killed a person or two along the way?